Water and Ash by SomethingTouchesBack. It's no good. The old Crulian navigator sat heavily on his thighs, every feather drooping in resignation as he repeated himself. It's no good. Yes, yes, I can get the anti-grav working and get us back into orbit. But for what? We were thrown light years off course, so nobody knows where to look for us. The interstellar comms and emergency beacon antennas burnt off in the atmosphere, so we can't call for help. And look here, the topside turret collapsed in on itself on impact, spewing heavy bearing grease all over the portal generator's optics. Without a hyperspace portal, we cannot escape this system. We are going to die here. Perhaps, said Cody, but not today. Get some rest, Katha, and I'll go find us something to eat. Navigator Katha followed Cody to the open airlock, stopping just inside the badly damaged ship as Cody continued out across the low green ground cover toward a scree slope in the distance. The meadow, where the small scout ship had unceremoniously plummeted, was surrounded by rolling hills and forests, which in turn gave way to ice-covered mountains. The captain had somehow gotten them down before succumbing to his injuries, but the engineer died in the crash. Now it was just Katha and Cody. Katha had never served with a non-Crulian before, and he had no idea what the captain was thinking, bringing a human on board as an apprentice. As Katha watched, Cody appeared to rummage around in the scree slope before abruptly sitting down. A sharp sound told Katha that Cody was smashing rocks together. Yes, they were going to die here, Katha and this young idiot. Katha shuffled back inside to see if he could do anything useful. A couple of hours had passed before a sound pulled Katha back to the airlock, a heavy wrench at the ready. It was Cody, now walking with the aid of a long pointy stick and struggling under the weight of a large carcass slung over his back. Hey, Katha, said Cody. Do you think you could use the welding torch to get a fire burning out here somewhere? I prefer my meat cooked. Cody emphasized meat by heaving the carcass onto the ground about 6 meters away from the spacecraft. He then rolled it onto its back, exposing that he had already slit it open and removed its internal organs. Soon, Cody was working his way around the body, punching the skin away from the meat and cutting it where necessary with a... Katha wandered over to get a better look. A rock? How are you doing that? Asked Katha. How come there isn't a single decent bladed tool on that whole spacecraft? Retorted Cody. This is just a chunk of obsidian from that scree slope that I bifacially napped to make a basic hand axe. It's what I use to cut and sharpen my spear. So, a fire? Katha looked around. Oh right, I'll get the torch. Grab a couple of metal pots and something that can be used as a funnel while you're at it, said Cody, already abandoning the carcass to gather some firewood. It was becoming clear to Cody that Katha was more of an indoor Crulian and likely had no idea how to make a fire out of natural wood. Besides, for this fire, Cody specifically wanted hardwoods with minimal pitch or creosote. More time passed, and with much work from Cody, and not nearly as much from Katha, many small chunks of meat, skewered onto freshly cut and peeled branches, were roasting over a bed of brightly glowing coals while globs of fat and oil dripped out in splashes of fire. Katha was sure the smell would attract some large predator. It was undoubtedly attracting him. Katha moved closer to the comforting light and delicious smell. Cody, meanwhile, was busy packing ash from the fire into the funnel. When he felt he had enough crammed in there, he used one pot to pour water from a nearby rainwater puddle into the funnel, through which it drained into the other pot. Katha was as fascinated as he was clueless. Was Cody hoping to somehow purify the water by pouring it through the ash? Shouldn't he be using charcoal instead? But when the lower pot was full, Cody moved it to the hot coals. Then he took what had been his water pot and put all the fat he had carved from the carcass into it. This, too, went onto the coals to heat. At least Katha understood this part. Katha's mother had rendered fat to make pure tallow for certain pastry doughs. Night fell. The temperature dropped, and still Cody worked with his pots. The rapidly decreasing temperature did have the advantage of cooling the fat faster. Once it cooled, Cody pulled the light-colored disc of tallow off the top of the remaining liquid, dumped the fluid, and remelted the tallow. By the third time he did this, the night was half over, and the tallow was nearly white. Finally, Cody poured the now tepid ash water into the remelted white tallow, stirring constantly, and occasionally interrupting his pour to let the mixture get thoroughly blended. The old Crulian had long since gone to bed, and still Cody poured and stirred. The first hint of dawn appeared when Cody was finally satisfied. Tipping the pot contents onto a towel, he checked his white cake of glop one more time before nodding smugly to himself. Cody took a break to eat more of the long-cold meat and check the campsite before carrying his precious mound of white glop into the spacecraft. Katha woke to the sound of Cody rustling around in the portal generator room. Inside, he found Cody rubbing a wet cloth on a cake of white stuff before rubbing it on an optical lens. Wash, rinse, dry. Half of the portal generator was already spotless. Turning, Cody said, "Well, good morning, Katha. Do you think you could get us into orbit so we can see if this thing will open a portal for us? I'm ready to go home." Katha inspected the portal generator closer. "I've never worked with a human before. Are they all like you? I gotta say, you're all right, kid." Then, looking at the white mound on the towel, "How did you know how to do that?" "It's old family wisdom," said Cody. "The cake is a lie." The end. Like and subscribe for more content.